if it's good clarification, we can go forward. Honestly, just listening.
He's not intending to harm anybody, you know, if anybody's on or anything like that. It's for clarification, inshallah, make baying the manhaj. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد. This inshallah is a clarification, ya ikhwan, of some of the aspects of the dawah in Leeds, how we believe, me and Bashara and the ikhwa, they believe that the dawah was destroyed in Leeds. From the people who do not know, obviously it's something new for them, but the people who was here from the dawah, like yourself, Tahir, Afzal, Sajjad, Bashara, like myself, and some of the brothers who are not present today, they know how the dawah was when we first came here to Leeds, and the dawah started, the dawah of Tawheed, the dawah the Salafi dawah. A bit nervous, yeah, I've never done anything like this before. So we just have some points that we wanted to explain to the ikhwa. One was regarding the individual whose name was Abu Fadl, and sometimes, depending on who you speak to, he has different names.
Muhammad Jamal.
Muhammad ban?
Muhammad Jamal.
Muhammad Jamal.
Abu Karam.
Yeah, so depending on who the people who do not know about this man is from Egypt. That this is what we knew from him. He was from Egypt. He came to Leeds.
No.
Safety car, it's alright.
So this man, Abu Fadl, who came to Leeds, and he established a few circles. Some of them circles were in the university. Sometimes it was in the house in Leeds 6 where he was teaching Arabic as well. And other places as well. One of the places where he established his circles as well was his house. And the people who we seen was very close to, and this time, ya ikhwan, is when we was new to the dawah. So me personally, I was new, Afzal, he was new to the dawah. And these brothers like Tahir, our brother Bashara and brother Sajjad, they was already practicing before us. So it's the time when we came new to the dawah. So he's new to dawah Salafiyya, what is Salafiyya. And this individual, we saw that he had a close relationship to one individual who's in this room today. His name is Sajjad. A very close relationship to this individual who we classed as having the most knowledge, me personally, amongst us at that time there. And whatever really and truly Sajjad said, me personally, whatever he said, because I knew him to be a trustworthy brother, I would take as if, alhamdulillah, this is my brother, and I would take my deen from him. That if you would say that, recommend me this individual or recommend me that, I would take from it. And we do not raise no one above Allah. And as this individual started proceeding his dawah, we started realizing a few things. First of all, Bashara, who was the first one to leave this individual when he realized the errors of this man. Then afterwards was me and myself, and the brother called Afzal was sitting in front of you. After a while, we left, but the first person to leave was Bashara, from amongst us brothers here. But the other people who were still around this individual was like Tahir, who was there in front of you, and brother Sajjad. These are the brothers and other brothers as well, like Dawood. At that time, he was there with this individual as well. But the people who left was Bashara, then Afzal and myself. So from his dawah, first of all, we found out that he said, and this is between me and Bashara when we researched this matter, that he said he had studied with many teachers. Can
I just interject there? Depending who you spoke to, if you spoke to one brother, he will say Sheikh Ufaymin 10 years. Speak to a different brother, it was Hudayfi for 10 years. And it was Abdul Mohsin al-Abad for a number of years. It was Muhammad al-Madkhali for a number of years. It was, he had many different teachers. And depending who you spoke to, the answer that came back was always different.
And you had the story on the tape.
Yeah.
Also, he had a degree in about 5 different subjects.
So when we added up all the years, I think it was over 100 years.
About 40 years.
Yeah, that he did this individual who came. But we seen that this is the time when our brother Ilyas was in Bradford, was doing the circles in Leeds University as well at that time. And these are the circles I used to go to. Either I would go with Abu Fadl when he was giving his lessons, when Sajjad would be translating sometimes in some lessons, or I'd go to a university where Ilyas would be giving these circles. So that time, I remember Ilyas was the one who was giving the dawah in Bradford and Leeds was Ilyas. He was the one who would go all around and give the dawah. So this individual Ilyas, we saw that when Abu Fadl and Ilyas, they never got on with each other. Obviously because Ilyas is the one who mostly was in the dawah in Leeds and in Bradford, and Abu Fadl just came. So then he started his politics. That obviously we wasn't aware of because we was new to the dawah. But as time has tell, as Sheikh Salih Fawzan says, ahyanan, sometimes the people what they have in their heart, sometimes comes out upon their tongue. As we know, the people of bid'ah and the people of desire, they can hide everything except for their companionship. They cannot hide that. So anyway, we realized from this individual, Abu Fadl, and our brothers, especially from the university side, like brother Sajjad and a few other brothers who was around, I can't remember all the names, Harun, and a few other brothers, the brothers don't know who was around. They had a really close relationship with this man. So obviously, as we know our brothers to be good, we took. So they had their circles there, we'd go there. We, mashallah, we reminded of the dawah, we think, alhamdulillah, this is our brother. And then once there was a dispute between Ilyas and Abu Fadl on the issue of where he studied. Because Ilyas arose a question about where has he studied, this man. So there's Abu Fadl, and if you can help me in this, he came with some documents, I think, to show that he has studied in Medina, Makkah. I can't remember clearly.
Medina.
If I made any mistake, explain it now. So he studied somewhere, and he showed that, look, I've studied in this place. So he brought his documents to show, look, this is where I've studied. But this individual, we realized as well, sometimes he would go and give khutbah. And we heard once he gave a khutbah in the Brixton. And the only mosque we knew in Brixton was the one, Ibn Taymiyyah. Is that what it's called, isn't it? Now that time, we're talking about now, how many years now we're talking? How many years are we going back now?
You're going back about 5 years.
6 years.
6 years is what we're speaking about now. Okay, things change now, remember. But 6 years ago we spoke about. So anyway, while we was here, this individual gave a khutbah there. And then we asked to find out if they gave a khutbah with the brothers who was there. They said, no, this man never came here. And the only place we knew there that the people where he could give a khutbah was a jihadi masjid. So this individual would go give a khutbah there and come back. And we think, alhamdulillah, this man's a man of sunnah and he's teaching the people of Tawheed. I think he started teaching the book of, I can't remember the book, exactly the book of Tawheed that he started. Could you remember, sir, which book he taught us?
طحاوي شرح العقيدة الطحاوية.
So he started with this deep book, Allah Musta'an. So we know that ulama, none of the ulama mentioned that we start with Aqidah Tahwiyya, rather we start with Rasul al-Thalatha, Qawaid al-Arba'a, Rasul al-Sitta, and these books that the ulama mentioned. None of them ever mentioned Aqidah Tahwiyya, that we start with this book first. So this individual was teaching, and obviously when someone teaches you, your heart goes towards him. You start becoming close to this individual. So while we was getting close to this individual, I remember we had a lesson with him on fiqh, and it was the issue of raising the hands. And my opinion was that when you come back from ruku, you put your hands back on the chest. Taking the opinion of Sheikh bin Baz and Sheikh Badil Nisha, rahimahullah. So I had this opinion. In this lesson, when we had this lesson with him, when we was going home, Khurshid, a brother called Khurshid is not here today, who was very close to him as well. They was driving me home, giving me a lift home, and this brother Abu Fadl, he was in the car with him. And he said to me, how come you never, followed this opinion that I showed you clarity that, through this book that you're supposed to let your hands go? I said I was confused about the issue, I don't know. So he got angry with me. So anyway, when he got angry, he dropped me off home. The next day, we had a stall.
Sorry, can I just say, I was there in the car with you.
Oh, okay, mashallah.
So I can just back that up, yeah?
Okay.
And you don't have to agree with me on this, yeah?
Yeah.
But some of these things, obviously, that's just a personality, so it doesn't...
No, it's linking onto something that I'm going to come to here.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I'm just saying, just for the record, that if somebody just says, oh, these are personality things, but like you say...
No, the issue is here, as we know the ulama...
In the car, sorry, they said, because she'd stopped the car and said, look, I'm disappointed in you. He says that this guy's teaching us, yeah, he's told us this, yeah, that, you shouldn't put your arms back there, or you should, yeah, whatever.
So anyway, the point, what I mean from this part, what I'm mentioning here, is that the next day we had a stall around the road. I don't know if he was there that day. And I told Sajjad, this brother here, about the scenario, and about how he is. And he said to me, you should go to him and sit with him and benefit from him. So because he was my brother, I didn't have no understanding. I took, inshallah, let's go. Because you remember Sajjad that day on the road when you told me this?
Right, there are several issues already, right, that need to be discussed first. The problem is now, if I stop you at every point in which you speak and I clarify it, then it's going to elongate the discussion, and it's already now 10 to 10. So I advise you, Intizar brother, to make it brief, to the point, and then I can respond. I don't want to stop you at every point in which it requires clarification, because so far you've spoken about this issue and you've neglected to mention a single date, except when I told you it was in 96, 6 years ago.
My brother, the issue is not about the date, the issue
No, it's very important.
If I'm speaking about,
Intizar, brother.
I'm
Do you know why it's
I'm-
very important?
I'm speaking, can I explain
Because
something?
the first, when Abu Fadl first came, and you neglected to mention this, I was sat in the mosque in Leeds 6, and that was in 1995. And it was after Maghrib, and I turned round and there were two Egyptians there. I didn't know they were Egyptian, but there were two people there. And one of the brothers, Talib, and you all know who Talib is, Abu Abdullah, the one who we call when we have a problem with the jinn. Talib Abu Abdullah, he came and he said, this brother has studied in Medina and he is going to teach you, he's going to start lessons. So Talib Abu Abdullah is the one who first introduced Abu Fadl to the other brothers, because we had no knowledge of him until he first introduced him. Just like 4 years earlier in 92, in the beginning of 92, when Abdullah ibn Yusuf al-Judayah came from Kuwait, and he was assisted in his passage here by Abu Abdullah. And when Abdullah ibn Yusuf al-Judayah first came and he started to teach the brothers, i.e. Abu Abdullah Talib and Kamal and his brother Adnan, then Talib was the first person who advised us to go and sit with this person. So now let me speak, brother, because first of all, what I want to do is explain, because some of the brothers will not know me, and it's important to mention this, is that the first issue, when I first came to Leeds in 1991, I first, alhamdulillah, started practicing because I met two brothers who introduced me to the da'wah, and they introduced me by way of food, because I was a first year student at the time and I was always hungry. So Hassan, the brother, he used to have dinner in his house. There used to be about 8 or 9 brothers there, and they all used to sit down together and have dinner. So he used to invite me, and I thought this is good, because I would benefit from their sitting and I also benefit from the food. So I started attending, and at that time I had very little knowledge. Now I have little knowledge, so I don't say for a single moment that I'm a person of knowledge, but the point is, we're now talking about 11 years ago, an incident that took place 11 years ago when I first started practicing and came onto the da'wah. Now I remember,
you're doing the same thing what you're telling me about.
yeah, but the point is that now I'm giving dates so the brothers can put things in perspective.
You know, brother, I told you I came new to that da'wah that time, so I never knew about Talib introducing these things.
So now I'm going to explain the method.
You got this Ma'alim now, so I'm not telling you.
Which one would you like to do? Would you like to speak first and clarify how you understand it, or would you like me to do it?
You know what, I'm explaining to you from my perspective. I
Right,
you
you
like
do
I
that
told you from the
first.
beginning. I said
Okay.
we came new to the da'wah, this is
Desire,
what we
brother,
saw.
you do that first, then I'll speak. You
That's what I was
complete
doing.
it.
That's what I was doing.
That's what the brother was
And that's what I was doing anyway from the
Alhamdulillah,
beginning.
you do it.
But then you'll get
No,
an
no,
opportunity,
okay.
inshallah, as well.
Can I just interject here? I'm going to come from a completely different angle here, and I'm going to refer back here, which the date here, if you want to be the date here, was the date of the conference in Bradford here. Here, when you approached Wasim here and asked him here, was there any consultation here with the brothers in Bradford here in organising this conference?
Yeah, but
here,
this is
now,
this.
no, here.
Which issue? But which issue do you want to discuss
No,
now?
but
Many issues.
but let's start with this one. The reason why I'm saying this, brother, is because there's been so many sincere advisors here coming to Leeds here and advising us to be Ikhwaniyah.
So
And that's the
now
reality
we've
of it,
moved
brother.
from the issue of Abu Fadl to an incident that took place
It
in
all
Bradford.
comes with bringing it down the basics.
Which one do you want to discuss?
Go to this one now. Let's go to
No,
this one.
let's start off with Abu Fadl. Let's
Okay,
start
no.
off with Abu Fadl. Carry on, Intizar.
First you're asking him which one you want to discuss, then you say
Intizar,
let's start
let's
Abu Fadl.
start with Abu Fadl. And let's discuss
what
it.
you
Dave,
need to do,
Dave,
what you need to do is just write a list of Because obviously, with the time that you've got, need to allocate certain time to each of the points that need to be discussed. Whatever. So you need to give priority to certain things and maybe leave other things out.
Okay.
Otherwise, I don't think that it's going to go anywhere. So what you need to do is have an agreement as to what are the points that need to be discussed, whether it's Abu Fadl or whatever the issues, and agree on however many can be dealt with in the time that we've got, and just restrict it to that. So I think there needs to be some sort of agreement between people involved as to what are the points that need to be focused on specifically, rather than going the way it is.
Sheikh, can
So
I just say, yeah? I think it's, I mean, I've got nothing to do with these brothers, thought of this, whatever, yeah? But because maybe things happening now, like you're saying, there's two issues in it now as well, yeah? People coming down to you and giving you a Qur'an or whatever, yeah? Right? Because things are happening now, yeah? The thing is, we're thinking that since them times, yeah, we haven't had clarification of what your, what your situation was. So because things are happening now, we're thinking, well, I've always thought this as well, that never got finished. It's never been clarified. I hear that the brothers doing circles in, where is it? Nelson, yeah?
Nelson.
And Keith and stuff like that. But I always think in my head, yeah, there's doing circles, but I've never been clarified as to what his stance was on that situation, because that guy clearly wasn't Salafi, yeah? Right, as I understand it.
Which guy?
Abu Fadl, yeah.
But now we're returning to Abu Fadl again.
Well, that's what I'm saying, that the new issues are here, yeah?
No, but
the point is, sorry, the new issues are here, but what's making us think is we need to clarify it in the first place, yeah? We never clarified in the first place back then what your situation is, and now they're connected.
Sahih. That's why.
So I think the brother should finish. I think the brother should finish.
Do you know what?
No.
To be inshallah, you explain yourself.
Right, let me explain.
That's more better.
Right,
You explain
alhamdulillah.
Briefly and concise.
Yeah, no, then inshallah, you explain yourself.
No, I think if you write a list of points, it'll probably be better. Because they might go out of control again, you see, if you come in or
Well,
whatever.
if you remain silent and allow me to explain, then inshallah it won't happen.
I will, inshallah.
Right. So, first of all, I was introduced to the Salafi Dawah by these two individuals, Hassan and Faraz. At that time, the situation in England was such that you would have people travelling all the way from London to come and deliver a circle. You would have that. So you would have, for example, Abu Sufyan, and you'd have Abdul Rahim Green, and you would have other individuals like Abu Alia coming to the mosque in Leeds 6, the Ikhwani mosque, to deliver a circle. Because at that time there's no doubt in these people. So metis continued, but then we realised that we needed some type of knowledge which was structured and organised. So then Abdullah ibn Yusuf al-Judayah came. So he started giving lessons. And at that time when he first came, he was with the Salafis. But then we noticed after a short period of time his association changed from the Salafis to the Ikhwanis, and he started to alter some of his opinions regarding the Isbal, regarding the beard, regarding working with individuals, and so on and so forth. So the more that he came closer to the Ikhwan in these matters, then the more we distanced ourselves from him. Then several years later, Abu Fadl came, and Abu Fadl in the beginning was with the Salafis. So Talib was the one who introduced him. And Abu Fadl was different to Abdullah ibn Yusuf al-Judayah for two reasons. First of all, he never had his knowledge, because he was known for his knowledge of hadith and aqidah. If in matters of fiqh, he was of his own opinion and not in accordance with the opinions of the major scholars. But as for Abu Fadl, he neither had his knowledge, and this was the second point. He had flaws and defects in his character. And those flaws and defects in his character, I realized them straight away. Because when you said, and Sajjad had a close relationship with him, that was not true. I used to accompany him for one reason, and that was because I wanted to improve my Arabic. Because at that time, my primary concern was to learn Arabic, because I saw the brothers around me, including the two who introduced me to the Dawah, and they were not involved in learning Arabic, nor was there any teaching of it. I wanted to improve my Arabic. So I realized that this man, he had flaws and defects. So he would behave in a certain way one day, and the next day he'd behave in a different way. But nevertheless, Talib was the one who introduced him. He started to give lessons. Now, the day before we were due to start our lessons, I received a telephone call from Ilyas, who wasn't happy. The reason being is because at that time the dawah in Leeds and Bradford was it was organised together. Even though in reality we did different activities, but the idea was it was that to be organised together. So Ilyas wasn't happy, and the reason why I was not happy was because we had decided to start having lessons, right, on recommendation of Talib, Abu Abdullah, and Abu Fadl was to do it. But Ilyas hadn't been consulted in relation to the lessons. The reason being because neither him nor the brothers from Bradford would attend those lessons. Rather, in 1995, at the beginning, when I started to teach Arabic in the green room, then none of the brothers from Bradford used to attend. So I realised then that, and none of them knew Arabic, I realised then that these brothers are going to find it difficult to progress. In addition, when we used to go to Bradford for the tajweed lessons from those of the brothers who used to attend, we noticed that the ones who used to attend were the ones from Leeds. As for the ones who were from Bradford, we used to meet them on the football pitch after the conclusion of the lesson. Then I noticed again that these brothers are not going to prosper if they carry on upon this way. But nevertheless, things progressed. Abu Fadl himself, there was no doubt that there was doubt about this individual. There was no doubt about that. Because in his speech, he wasn't consistent. So on one occasion, I used to speak to him about his time in prison. And he mentioned that, yes, I was in prison on such a time, because I remember taking him to the physiotherapy department in Leeds LGI. And he said, yeah, this injury was caused because I was in prison. So I said, you're in prison? He said, yes. I said, when? And he told me the dates. I said, who were you with? And he said, I was in prison with Abu Ishaq al-Huwaini. On another occasion when I asked him about it, he said, no, I was never in prison with Abu Ishaq al-Huwaini. And I thought, that's a strange thing, because you remember if you were in prison with somebody like this. But then he mentioned I was in prison with Umar Abdurrahman. So the point is that the person himself had problems with his character. I knew
character
that.
is not manhaj, though, Sajjad.
No, well, he no, but the problem is at the time.
That's manhaj, not character.
No, because at the time he wasn't consistent in his speech. As for what he taught in his lessons, the Tahawiyya, the Udda, the book Al-Udda of Hanbali Fiqh, as for what he taught in his lessons, from what I knew at that time, he never said anything that differed with the opinions of the major scholars. And do you know the reason for that? Because on one occasion when I sat with him and we were explaining the definition regarding al-ibadah, and we came across what Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen said, that al-ibadah ibaratun an tadallul, that ibadah, part of it is a tadallul, to submit yourself for the sake of Allah. He mentioned, oh, I've never read this before, I've never read this statement, this definition of ibadah, and he could see from the expression on my face that I didn't like that he spoke about Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah, and I didn't like it.
Why didn't he speak and clarify to the people after knowing, having knowledge of that matter?
Let me finish.
So control yourself.
I control myself for many years, on this matter.
I said to him that here it is, the statement that he mentions in the Sharh of Al-Aqidah Al-Wasitiyah, that ibadatun ismun jami'un kamil likulli ma yuhibbu Allah wa yarda min al-aqwal wal a'mal al-zahira wal batina. This definition is there, and this is what Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah said. So then he remained silent. But the point is that he made a reference to Shaykh ibn Uthaymeen, and he made it because he wanted to criticize him. But when he saw from me that I wasn't going to accept that, then he remained silent. Later on, when I heard from Iftikhar that he had mentioned something about Shaykh al-Albani rahimullah, I went to him and I said, what did you say about Shaykh al-Albani? And he said, oh, he's misunderstood my statement. I said, how? He said, because when I was speaking about Shaykh al-Albani, then it was because I was trying to emphasize that Shaykh Ibn Baz rahimullah has also performed work upon hadith regarding Sahih al-Bukhari. So the point is that he would always have some type of explanation. But now the important issue is that period was from 1995 to early 96, right? So it was about a year. When I left Leeds, when I left Leeds, that was in the summer of 96, right? It was in June, July, because by September, then I was on the plane to Saudi Arabia. So the length of time that I actually knew Abu Fadl and the length of time that he was here teaching the brothers was not actually a long period of time. But there's no doubt, and I say this, right, without fearing anyone, la lawmatul la'im, is that the person himself, right, there's no doubt, as I said, that there was doubt in that person. But he was the type of person who tried and conceal it, and he would try and deceive the people. Alhamdulillah, in the end, what happened? In the end, nobody was left with him except Iqbal. And from what I understand now, even Iqbal isn't left with him. Now the second point is that.
Can we just stop there?
No, the second point, and this is important, is it's very easy now, like Intizar mentioned, that look how he started teaching Sharh al-Aqidah al-Tahawiyah when he should have started with the book Usul al-Thalatha. It's easy now to say 6 years later that this was his mistake and this was his mistake and this was his mistake. It's easy to say that because now you know that these are the books that should have been taught. Now you know these things. Intizar, brother, my excuse is jahl. At the time, I just did not know and I didn't have sufficient knowledge in order to realize, for example, that he should really have started with Usul al-Thalatha. I simply did not know. As Ibn Masud said, "Man alima shay'an falyakul bihi, wa man la ya'lam falyakul Allahu a'lam." I didn't know. Right? So, I hope, inshallah, right? I hope, inshallah, that whatever mistakes I made, because there's no doubt I made mistakes. وَمَا مِنَّا إِلَّا رَادٌ وَمَرْدُودٌ, as Al-Imam Malik said, that there's none amongst us except that he can refute and he himself can be refuted. And there's no doubt that somebody then, and I was 23 years old, right, 6 years ago, and I was far more ignorant then than I was now, that I made decisions and I followed courses of action that were simply not correct. And there's no way that I have the arrogance and the ignorance and the stupidity that I'm going to come here today and I'm going to say, no, everything I did with Sheikh, with Abu Fadl, everything I did with him was correct. I'm not going to say that, nor am I going to say that when he started teaching Tahawiyah, even though I gained benefit, it was correct. I'm not going to say that. This is free and distant. Alhamdulillah, I'm not from amongst the people who, if he makes a mistake afterwards, he goes to the ends of the earth in order to defend it. I've got no reason to that. At-ta'ib min al-dhambi kaman la yadhnab. Like the one who has no sin, right? The one who has a sin, then he makes tawbah from it, is like the one who doesn't have a sin. So as far as I'm concerned, right, I had made mistakes at that time. That the first doubt that entered my mind, I should have warned against him, and I should have told the brothers, don't sit with this person. But then, what was I going to do? Now the problem is we're speaking of should have, and if I had done this, and we can't do that because I can't go back in time.
Jazakumullahu khairan. Just some points, inshallah, that we want to say. That you said at the end that the brother had left him anyway, meaning Abu Fadl. But ya ikhwan, wallahi, Allah is a witness over this, that the people who he left upon the methodology now, not bi'aini, not shaks, not individually that he's upon it, the ideologies that these people who he said he's left, who was close with him, have become upon the ideologies of Sayyid Qutb, as my brother brought today, Hassan al-Banna, Mullah al-Mawdudi. So this individual affected loads of people, ya ikhwan. Walillah alhamd, Allah removed us from him and safeguarded us. We're not saying that that we're not free from sin, but Jalla wa Ala, he saved us from this. That is individual here, he didn't just leave upon nothing, ya ikhwan. He affected many people. Khurshid, one of the brothers he affected, when I came back from Yemen, I sat with them brothers Khurshid and Tariq for 5 hours, and we sat and we spoke about the Dawah in Leeds, and we came to the issue of this brother Abu Fadl. And then this brother Tariq said to me, Sayyid Qutb? I said, yeah, I know Sayyid Qutb. He had some mistakes, but he was a very good reformer. I said, subhanallah, where did you get this from? He goes, a brother called Ayman, an Arab called Ayman, he told me this. And this brother Tariq, ya ikhwan, he has a restaurant in Leeds 6. He has left, and he was close to Abu Fadl as well. And this is from my realizing, as the Salaf said, we judge the person by the company. And when Sheikh Salih Fawzan got a chapter upon this, that as soon as, no matter what the person's niyyah is, as he mentions in Kitab al-Shahada, I think Book of Witnesses in volume 3 of the Bukhari, where he mentions that we used to judge the people by the revelation. When the revelation stopped, we started judging the people by the zahir actions, what we see apparently. Now if we saw that these people was good, then we brought them close from their actions. And we never checked what Allah, your hasib, he said, Allah will check what's in their hearts. And then as the narration continues, if we saw evil from a person, we never brought him close. وَلَمْ نُصَدِّقُ, and we never believed him or trusted him. وَإِنْ قَالَ, even if he said, in my heart there's something good. And Sheikh Rabi mentioned this narration in his book, I think it's Naqad al-Rijal, when he's refuting one of the persons in there, that this is how we judge the people. So Sajjad, even if you're saying, my closeness for Arabic language, this is the reason why I was close to this individual. Can I just, you let me finish please, then you continue. Yeah, like I gave you respect, give me a bit, inshallah. So as you were saying, because of the Arabic language, you found faults in him, but you also mentioned character. But then you mentioned in other places that you explained to him an issue on ilm. You explained that he's made an error in the ibadah. So you're refuting him on this matter. But you're saying also that you was jahil of this matter. So here in this matter here, when I judged you now, is that we judge you by your zahir actions. As that's how the Salaf were. We saw you together, and this is why your brother Intizar said that you was with him closely. And any of the Salaf, all the Salaf, the aqwal of the Salaf, they will judge you by that. As Ibn Masud, Abu Hurairah in the hadith that's mentioned, as Sheikh Salih Fawzan mentions, that Mar'u ala deen khalilihi, fanzu ahtakum man yukhadib. A person's upon the religion of his friend, then look to see who he takes as his intimate friend. And this is how we judge you. So this individual here, that you said that, he has left, alhamdulillah, no, but he affected people. The dawah affected many people in Leeds, destroyed loads of people. One brother who was with him, what's his name now? Abdullah, a white brother who was a Marine, and he took his shahada. I can't remember the dates. He took his shahada. But this individual that he affected, look at the dawah that they are upon now. This man Abdullah, and how he speaks about the ulama, and how he mentions them. Look at this man Abdullah, this guy. This is the man he affected. Okay, he's saying he hasn't affected Iqbal. But if it wasn't for the sins that I'll mention about this individual, I would expose this individual. But because it's sins, I refrain how he's affected this individual from sins, and his methodology now that I've heard recently from his own brother-in-law who's told me how this man Abu Fadl destroyed Iqbal. This is the recently I heard from his own brother-in-law. His own brother used to come with blue eyes and something wrong with his finger. He brought a detailed narration about his brother-in-law, how he's affected Abu Fadl, has affected him in detail, destroyed his family, split families like that. So this individual, Sajjad, like you're saying, you never knew about him. We looked at you as your brother to teach us and help us and guide us. When these errors came to you, and I remember the incident once that I came to error, it was an issue, Bashar remembers this as well, about Osama Dhahabi, innit? The issue of that tape, yeah? You can interject to this because this is your narration.
It was in Iftikar's room, in Uthman's house. There was a tape by Abu Osama on the refutation of Umar Abdurrahman. You picked it up and you chuckled and you said how can somebody who's not even a student of knowledge refute somebody who's a sheikh, was hafiz of Quran, Bukhari and Sahih Muslim.
And this man who is refuting is Umar Abdurrahman, who's in a jail in America. What is he, that Umar Abdurrahman, the blind?
Umar Abdurrahman, he's from Egypt, and he's from the Ikhwan, and he's from the people of Takwir and Khuruj, and also from those who praises the Iranian Revolution, and bringing closeness to the Rafida and taking them an example to be followed in a revolutionary methodology.
Yeah, so this individual, can you remember that statement, Sajjad? Can you remember what he's explained to you that time?
Right. Obviously you seem to have ignored what I said earlier.
Okay, but
that if
no, can you
6
just remember
years ago, if 6 years ago I said this statement,
no,
and I don't believe that I said this statement of Abu Osama, because it's not from my way nor from my speech to speak in this manner, right? It's very easy for you to determine whether I said a particular statement, because then perhaps Basharati has made a mistake, as everybody makes a mistake. But what I'm saying, Intizar brother, Jazakumullah khairan, is that if I said that statement about Abu Osama, then that was a mistake. Sadara minni, which came from me. And I hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who forgives all sins except shirk, forgives me for that statement. So if you now want to hold me accountable for a statement that I made 6 years ago. And I'm certain that there would be other brothers who 6 years ago, when they were 23 years of age, then they would have said or done things which were not correct. Right? And I hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was Ar-Rahim and Al-Ghafoor, that He, out of His mercy and His rahmah, will forgive me for that statement. And if I ever see Abu Usama again, then I'll personally go to him and I'll mention that it's possible that 6 years ago I said this statement, so please forgive me for that.
Just to inject about this man Usama Dhahabi, brother can explain to you that he does have errors now. We're on about 6 years ago what happened. If you can just break down Usama Dhahabi to the people, that he has some errors and some things that you mentioned on the internet, just to make it share so the people don't think.
No, I mean, whether it's relevant at this point or not to the discussion or to the points being raised, I don't know whether it's relevant or not.
Okay.
Is it relevant to?
Yeah, so the people who don't go away and thinking Usama Dhahabi, we can go and say.
I'll clarify that Abu Usama himself has made some statements about Sheikh Rabi' bin Hadi, Hafidhahullah, which are not correct. And he's made certain statements regarding what people should learn first and the manners and how they should do that, which are not correct, which I was explaining to my brother Amr. This is my brother Amr. How many days ago? 2 days ago. And what did I say regarding what Abu Usama had said about the comments about Sheikh Rabi?
They were incorrect.
And then what did I say about if Sheikh Rabi, Hafidhahullah, had said something that was incorrect, whose position was it to correct him?
And then they just got
Right. So that's the issue of Abu Usama. Now carry on.
So this is the essence narration he brought. What's the other narration, inshallah, he brought? This all in paper, innit?
No, basically, my thing is, even after that, you knowing all this, when you came to realize, these are the mistakes of Abu Fadl, did you go back and correct the brothers, and explain to the brothers,
as Allah says
this
in the
is
Quran,
the situation with this man, abandon him, and this is wrong, and this is right.
Okay, every single time
just before.
I've been back to Leeds, every single time I go back to Leeds 6, and I go and visit Tariq and sit in his restaurant, or I go and visit Ismet or the other Kuwaiti brother, every single time I go and sit with them, I notice two things from them. First, their lack of respect and concern for the scholars, and I correct that. And I advise them that they should not behave in this way. And secondly, because they do not study anything. And it's because of their ignorance that they remain upon this state. From amongst the first narrations that I memorized from the Muwatta of Al-Imam Malik, a wonderful narration, which is not a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, that Al-Imam Malik collected, is Ya Bunayya, the statement of Luqman al-Hakim, Ya Bunayya jalisil al-ulama wa zahimhum bi rukbatayk, which is what I mentioned. That he said to his son, "Oh my son, sit with the scholars and sit with your knees against theirs. فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحْيِي الْقُلُوبِ بِنُورِ الْحِكْمَةِ." Because indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gives life to the hearts بِنُورِ الْحِكْمَةِ, with the light of His wisdom, كَمَا يُحْيِي الْأَرْضَ الْمَيْتَةَ بِوَابِلِ السَّمَاءِ, just as He gives a life to the dead earth with the life-giving rain from the skies. So I've told Tariq, when he mentioned that, brother, really we shouldn't mention the word Salafi, I told him that his statement is incorrect and it opposes the way of the scholars. And Shaykh Al-Albani rahimahullah emphasized the importance of ascribing to the word the Salaf, just like Shaykh Ibn Baz and Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen in Al-Wasitiyah. He mentions the importance of ascribing to the word the Salafiyun in Aqeedah and Manhaj, and that they are the correct group. As for the Asha'ira and the Maturidun, then they are not correct. And I mentioned that to them. And do you know what?
Can I just?
Do you know what? In
Can I
certain
just stop?
instances, they retract their statements. And in certain situations, they apologize. And what those brothers need
Can we just
is for somebody to go to them and to explain to them, not that I'm saying Basharati hasn't done it, Jazakumullah khair, not that I'm saying Intizar hasn't done it,
We're missing the point. You're going off
but the
another
point
point.
is that
Going off another point there. The point is
he
here.
asked me, have I been back?
No,
and
it's
I'm
not-
telling you
my
that
brother,
I've been back to tell
the manhaj of when you make something, when you make a error in manhaj and think, what is the methodology of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah when somebody has erred, who've made maybe errors in his manhaj and think, what does he do? Allah says, إِلَّا الَّذِينَ تَابُوا وَأَصْلَحُوا وَبَيَّنُوا. This is what you have to do. You have to what? Make tawbah to Allah Jalla wa Ala for the mistakes that we have done. Yeah? then you make rectification of that which you did, and then you make baying to the people. This is the clarification of what you do with the, not that you go individual to these people. La, these statements are made open in front of everybody. Let's refute it open, as Shaykh Islam ibn Taymiyyah said. This was done open in front of many people. They all saw this, and many like Abdul. Look at the people now. Let me explain.
When I was
Abdullah,
invited,
I'm finishing. You're not letting me finish.
but I
Abdullah,
haven't finished my statement because you're responding because of your ignorance. You don't know something about what's happened, so now you're talking. When I was invited to do a circle there in the bookshop, when I went there, I emphasised this aspect of following the way of the Salaf.
You haven't clarified them to what's happened from the man before. How you explain to them about the manhaj of the Salaf?
Rather than
when you haven't clarified to them what the issue happened in the first place.
And I went and I explained it to them.
My brother,
just as I explained it on every.
My brother, we're on about the issue.
You know what your problem is,
Yeah.
You know what your problem is.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Is that you're going. What you're doing is.
I think there's a misunderstanding between. Just for the benefit of the people who are sitting here, because obviously we don't want to make it look as if, you know, this is just like a problem and issues being raised for nothing. Just so the people understand what's going on, I think it's good to make them realise the benefit in this and what's actually taking place, which is that going back to some of the points that Sajjad made earlier, which is that really in this country, when you look at the history of the dawah in this country, beginning from let's say 1990 to the situation that we've arrived at now. At the beginning, many people thought that we thought that we were actually Salafis or upon the Salafi dawah, and that's not true. There was nobody who was upon the Salafi dawah, in the sense that they're upon the Salafi manhaj, the clear pure Salafi manhaj, and the dawah as it should be done. Rather, what we had in that time was people like Jimas, Abu Muntsir, and people of that nature, Abu Ali, and people like that. And that dawah at that time was just a dawah that had confusion in it and aspects of some of the thoughts of Abdurrahman Abdul Khaliq, and you know, so the clear Salafi dawah didn't emerge up until 1996 and onwards, when some of the sheikhs came from abroad, like Sheikh Muhammad al-Madkhali, Sheikh al-Anjari, Sheikh Abduslam Burgess and others, and they brought out certain issues that we in this country were not really aware of, issues which had affected the dawah greatly in the Arab lands, and issues which really they brought in certain ways of thinking from the innovators into the ranks of the Salafis. Prior to that time, there was no clarity in the dawah at all. From I'm talking about 1996, prior to 1996. So since that time, 1996, till the time that we've arrived at now, you found that, generally speaking, the link with the scholars has increased further and further, and there's been more and more clarity about what actually is the proper, true Salafi methodology. And within that period of 5-6 years, there have been many tribulations as well, many fitnas which have emerged. The fitna of Adnan Arur, the fitna of Ihya Turat, the fitna of Al-Maghrawi, the fitna of Al-Ma'rabi, many things which have happened, as a result of which people have become more and more clear about what actually is the Salafi methodology. So now the point that's being made is that within that period of time, from like 1990, 1996, 1997, when there wasn't really that clarity in the methodology, we found that there were people who were involved in dawah and who were involved in calling people to Islam, and they gained prominence in that time, right? In the time in which there was no clarity. People like Abu Ali, people like like Abdurrahim Green, people like Abu Muntsir, people like Suhaib Hassan, all these like types of individuals. And not until after these things began to be clarified did we truly understand what exactly were these people really upon, and what is the methodology that they're upon, what is the methodology that they're actually implementing. Because as I said before, prior to that time there was no clarity in the dawah at all, and people were thinking that they were attached to the Salafi dawah, but they didn't know actually what Salafi dawah was. Which is why one of the students of Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen, when he came, Sheikh Abu Anas, in 1995 or 1996, he said to some of the brothers that unless you clarify these issues and you become clear on these issues, then in 4 or 5 years time from now you'll be saying that you're Salafi, but you'll be Ikhwani, right? Because obviously you won't know any better, right? You'll be thinking just by name only, you're attached to this dawah without knowing exactly what are its realities, what are the fundamentals, what are the stuff like that, whatever. So I think what's taking place here, just for the brothers who like are very confused and don't know what's going on, is that because of because now we're finding out that people like Abdul Rahim Green's upon this and he's upon the Ikhwani way and Bilal Phillips is upon this, and all these people, what they're actually implementing in their dawah is not actually upon the Salafi methodology. So because historically speaking certain situations happened like in Leeds and with the dawah in Leeds, and because of certain like relationships that were held between certain people, they're just trying to make some clarification as to trying to get some clarity as to when did people break off from this individual Abu Fadl, which apparently he seems to be like someone who's upon takfir and whatever, and to what extent were they influenced, and that type of thing needs to be cleared, and that's what's actually taking place here. They're just trying to get some clarification either way to try and understand what actually went on, and that there's no like clear statement or clear position that came across from the people who left him or who remained with him.
That's right.
So that needs to be clarified and made clear, so that if it's made clear, then everybody's happy and everybody's fine, so that people know where people stand. That's basically what's going on for the people who sit in and watch
it. It's part of the manhaj as well to ask for clarification.
Yeah.
And find out who you're learning off.
Of course, this is from the manhaj of the Salaf, because as one of the Salaf said, this is not narrated by Al-Mu'allimi, and Shaykh Rabi also quotes it as well, that whenever the Salaf used to desire to write knowledge from anyone, then they would ask about him to such an extent that it would be said to them, do you desire to marry this person? Meaning, either meaning marry this person to your daughter, or meaning marrying myself in the form of like emphasis or whatever. And also many of the narrations that when the fitna occurred amongst Ahlul Sunnah, then we look to see who goes. So from these narrations, generally speaking, from the manhaj of Ahlul Sunnah now, is that and it's always been that whenever people wish to take knowledge from people, they want to know who they are and who they've studied with and who they've mixed with and who they've studied under, and these kind of things, so that people actually have some sort of serenity and have ease that they're taking knowledge from someone who's steady and firm and upon the right aqidah and upon the right manhaj and who implements it. This is what I think is trying to be determined from what I can gather from what or from the way Intizar is coming across. So yeah, that's right. Yeah.
No, all I'm saying, inshallah, Ikhwan, and this is for the dawah, that we need clarification now.
From whom?
From yourself to the people.
Relating to what?
From the past, what happened. The people who was...
Are you speaking about Abu Fadl?
Yeah, I'm on about the people who was affected near him and the people who was around, because there's other brothers he knows himself. At that time, yeah, from him. Yeah,
right, and as I said, I'm more than happy, I'm more than willing, I'm more than content and pleased to go and speak to them all again regarding Abu Fadl. I'm more than happy to do that. Arrange it and I'll do it.
I think this is good. We can get Isma and all these people, and then get the brother to explain all the situation about Abu Fadl and everything about the dawah.
No, it's not like that. Because he needs explanation himself. We need to clarify, because he's the one who started it from our point of view. From we seen, he's the one who caused it. And me and Bashar came that this was
caused a split.
He was part of the split because he was with this individual that I took it. This is what we're saying from the Dai statement. Unless you have something to say, inshallah. Say it now, inshallah, because
what is it that you want?
Everybody's boycotting Abu Fadl. There's not one single person with Abu Fadl except for Iqbal, and Abdul Samad's probably told you.
Okay.
Who's
But look at the effect. Iqbal is an individual, a brother who's been with him for
like Saddam said, who introduced these people to us?
Guyana, as in the Western
Indies.
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay.
Same with Abdullah.
But I wasn't there to see who introduced him. That's what I'm saying.
You were there.
That's what I'm saying. When I came, I already saw him.
Yeah, but listen, what I'm saying is this. Talib was the one who introduced Abu Fadl to us. Yeah?
Right.
Talib was the one who introduced Abdullah al-Judai to us. And it was through the same people we find out, oh, he's a deviant now, and he's a deviant now, yeah? So, you were using them as a source of trust. But then, we find about Talib, oh, he's with the Qiyaturas and so forth. So everything you hear from different people, yeah, is upon trust, oh, this person's a deviant, and this person's this, and so forth. So this is how everything happened. As you learn more, you change your position. This is how it was.
No, but I'm just saying.
In the early days, we took Talib as a person of trust. Then later on, we found out he's not even a person of knowledge.
No, but
he didn't. Not this and that.
I think we need to explain some points.
At that particular moment in time, statements were flying around who's Talib? He doesn't know anything. If he was your friend, if he wanted to teach you, he would have been a Hafiz of Quran and fluent in the Arabic language. Rather, he doesn't care about you. There's I was told there was Arab Salafis and there was Pakistani Salafis, or the English Salafis rather. Like, yeah, and there's two different things, and they're not Salafis. The English Salafis are not Salafis. Okay, these are the type of things that and Talib he was mocked, he was humiliated by Abu Fadl and the people with Abu Fadl, because I remember when I told Tariq
Abu Fadl is boycotted by everybody.
No,
yeah. What happened before? Talib was the one who introduced Abu Fadl to us. Yeah, we used Talib as a trustworthy brother. So if he's the one introducing, what we're going to say? No, you're a liar. We don't know any better. He says, oh, he's done this, he's done that, and so forth. Then later on, when we found out about Ayman and Abu Fadl, that they're jihadi orientated, that's when we started backing off.
You never started backing off. When did you lot back off though? I never seen you lot back off until probably last time. You lot was wallahi. I remember you were still with him for a long time. Wallahi, Uqsim Billah, you was with him for a long time.
Listen, I'll tell you something. I'll tell you Abu Fadl, right? Abu Fadl, everybody was around him, right?
Okay.
For circles in the green room and so forth. As people got to know, slowly, depending on people's intellect and how much information they get, slowly people started boycotting him. Now, last I heard was there was a few brothers like Tariq and Khurshid and so forth. Even they've gone.
Yeah, but look at the effect.
Brother, what do you suggest now though? You keep saying what's the effect. What do you suggest?
Well, I've explained to you the manhaj. I said what we do now, as Amjad explained to you, that once the people have made you make clarification to the people. You make bain, you clarify that this is what we did, this is the clarification. As Abul Hasan Ashrafi went up on the
people today, like in Leeds, like here,
people
who are affected by him. Well, not with him, but
they've got affected someone. They've got their own bookshop now in Leeds 6. They've got their own.
Now it's big, yeah. Like now more than here, yeah. And then there's only about 2-3 people left, because everybody, as you know,
Sahih.
Maybe this is
it's not a funny message. I will lie. You know what? This is Dawa ilallah, and this is Allah's deen. I'm going to smile at this mouth because it's not smiling out today.
Afzal, you continue, because
what I'm saying is that maybe something you could, any of the brothers could explain this on, is that throughout history, that when people are teaching something, you get emotionally attached to them, and then even when they're exposed, if they're being misguided, even when that person's been exposed, the people still stick with them because they're emotionally attached. So when Abu Fadl was exposed, then people still was like this, like that with him, and loved him too much. And so end up just 2-3 people left in Leeds, and all the other brothers as much as this year. But a lot of them were from out of town studying, but a lot of them from Leeds as well. But then they were all on different ways and stuff like this. And then what we were saying is just from what I noted, is 2 brothers. But I understand this is old now, and we're all close. So different people have become have stopped being close at different times. That's fine. But I'm just saying, one of the last people from my memory, the last people was like brother Khalil, and brother Tahir was very close in going.
His brother Tahir is sitting here.
That's what I'm saying. And no, I'm just saying that. I'm just fitting it in.
Yeah, but we recognise that this person was introduced to us.
No.
Yeah, just like look, I'll give you another example. Just like you find out about Ali Tamimi, but before that you were listening to his 6 tapes about Aqidah. Just like you find out about certain Shuaib Hassan or whoever it may be. When you find out, then you can make a change of position. Until you find out, you make mistakes. You go along that path. But nobody says, Abu Fadl be all and end all.
I think what maybe he's saying then from what he said is that, okay, from an individual point of view, every person who knew that Abu Fadl was wrong or astray or whatever, they left him. However, from what I can gather is that the impact as it had overall upon the dawah in Leeds, right, in terms of like when he came and how he behaved and how he left the people when people found out what he was upon, and the fact that even though he's gone and no one's attached to him, the fact is that what he did and what he was upon has influenced a lot of other people who now are upon a certain way of thinking which is dangerous and deviant. So in order to rectify that, like, people have come together and thought, okay, now how do we rectify and how do we try to limit the damage that he's done, right? And the way to do it is that those people who were involved with him and who left him, like you guys initially, and then yourself and Sajjad, whatever, that you make some sort of clarification and say that to the other people who were involved with him, that this is what happened, this is what the man is upon, And this is how he's left you people upon the same thought and ideology, and the people that you mix, the people that you're referring to now, like whoever it might be, like the Safar or whatever that was upon. And it's upon you to leave this dawah and to come back to what it was before he actually came. And you can, and then mention some of the results and the harms that were done. Like the fact that, as he said, that everyone's like, after that time when you were all together, and then he came, then he's going, look at what's happened, everyone's just one in that direction, one in this direction, one over there, one over here, one over there, and no one's actually. So in order to limit and reduce the impact that he had, and try to bring the people back, and at least have some like connection, so they can come back and like learn again, is for the purpose of that if there's any clarification that needs to be made from anybody, that they make it so that people can say, well, people can at least have something to refer back and think, well, maybe there's an admonition for them, maybe there's something for them to think about, maybe there's something for them to realise. I think that's what that's what
you know what? No, please, Abdul. You know, after that's come, the issues with Brother Sajjad, there's still a few up to today that we need to clarify. You haven't explained it, I'll have to explain it. This is very important. Here the issues that we still have with Sajjad, please. No, because then everybody's going to make a point.
Yeah, but you see, look, end of the day, right? In the early days when Abu Fadl started giving circles.
I'm not speaking about early days now, I'm going up to today.
Right,
I want to go to today. I want to go something about the brother, some issues that I want to clarify.
End of the day, I used to go to Abu Fadl's house, I used to see Basharat sitting there by himself. What was that about? No, I'm just saying, I used to see Basharat sitting there by himself. I think, what's going on here? Right, no, look, isn't that right? I used to see you there. I used to see other individuals with the person and so forth. But like I said,
and I was never by himself with him. Because he never got on me from day one. Alhamdulillah.
No, I didn't mention you.
Alhamdulillah, he kept me far from him.
But see, sometimes you have a personality clash, yeah? But the thing is, the way to do it is once you find the proof against him, that's when people started moving backing off. Like Sajjad said, the guy that introduced this person to us was Talib. And I was the one who confronted Talib. Idris is my witness. Yeah, I went to Talib's house and we spoke about this matter. But this was a long time ago, and everybody boycotted him. They found out what he was like, what he was about, and so forth.
Talib, you're not thinking about the effects of the dawah.
When you're talking about Ismat and the bookshops, on the other side, they're not influenced by the Fadl. They're influenced by other people.
That's how he started.
Like the other guy that came, Abdul Hakim from Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, but that's afterwards. They came to pop.
They separated from him, but
they come after that. What I'm saying about Sajjad, the issues
but the thing is, look, you got to talk to individuals like Ismat and like Khurshid and like Abdullah on a one-to-one level. Abu Fadl's done and gone his history. We made a mistake, no problem. But the thing is, you see, then other people are stepping in like Abdul Hakim and this and that and so forth. You have to talk to these individuals if you.
No, inshallah, wait. Pause it, innit? Pause it, inshallah.
No.
Can you pause it? Wait till it.
Because I remember everybody used to be there. Everybody used to be there, Sahel, whoever was there. I remember everybody used to Iftikhar, Askar. There was not one brother that didn't used to go there.
But the point is, there's no point in saying anybody recommending,
No, do you know what is? What I want to say is that that was that scenario, innit? I'm telling you about a manhaj when somebody's teaching and the people want to go and learn. Then we continue with Brother Sajjad, another scenario that we need to explain. There's a brother in Bradford called, what's his name now? That's what I'm saying.
Talk about it and we'll get
on. No, we haven't finished this issue.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting to hear from you what you would like me to do in Tizal.
It's not what
in order that I can do it.
This is my outside perspective from the brothers here. Is that what does Sajjad need to do to break the link between Sajjad and Abu Fadl? That's the issue.
No, it's not that. It's not the issue. It's not the issue.
Well, see, brother, the last time I saw him was about 6 years ago.
It's broken.
It's not about the issue. My brother, you know,
it's like saying,
That's what I'm saying. Sajjad, that's what I said when I first started. Let's have it with the people you used to bring everybody. That's what I said from the beginning. Who do you want it? You said let everybody come.
No, but he's made a valid point. So he didn't know. That's
he's going to answer it by going on to the other bits. You see, he's going to answer it by going.
So what I'm saying now.
So now the issue of what would you like me to do in Tizal? I'm asking you. Tell
me.
Okay,
let's continue, please. Let's continue now. The issue here now. Then we hear another thing now. There was a conference in Keighley arranged by. What's his name? Taj.
No, let's
Taj.
No,
I want to continue
until we deal with
Sajjad,
the issue
you know
of Fadl.
Do you know why, Sajjad? Because you're giving the dawah now and you're teaching the people.
No,
we want to clarify everything.
I remember one of the benefits I learned from Sheikh Al-Albani rahimahullah when he was speaking with that jihadi is that he wanted to carry on going to the next issue.
My brother, I'm not a jihadi though, and I'm not a jihadi, and I explained to you.
No, I never accuse of that. But the point is, if you're going to discuss something, then discuss one issue.
Yeah, I just want to continue. Yeah, I'll finish with Abu Fadl, but you will let me finish the rest. This is so important, Ikhwan, please. We need to clarify this. It's not happening every day.
Finish with Abu Fadl.
So
What
issue
was
what
the conclusion?
the issue is here.
That he's got no affiliation with him.
But the thing is
That's
here.
the
I know,
problem. He's got no affiliation with him, and it's been a long time.
Okay, from here, from Abu Fadl, yeah, that we make clarification in it to the people who was there at that time. You make clarification to the people, and then we continue upon the issue of today. Now the people that we heard and from the brothers
So
were saying.
just wait. So now it's 20 to 11. So your conclusion is, and you make clarification to the people. And about half an hour ago, I told you that I was trying to do that. And about 10 minutes ago, I said, and arrange it, and we'll do it. So then you carried on talking. And now we've got to a stage. I asked you for the conclusion. You're saying, make clarification.
Okay,
I already said I
what
want
I'm
to do
explaining to
that.
this brother, maybe he doesn't understand his matter.